Check, check. Okay, I think I'm about ready to go. See, all my destinations are up. Why can't I hear anything? If you're on Twitter, I don't think you can hear me. Oh, okay. Nope, yeah, you can. Well, you guys are in for a treat today. I've got a new camera angle for you to look at my ugly mug from. All right. Democrats are not backing down from their stance that parents should not know what their child is learning in school, or their demand that teachers talk to children about sex. It's weird. The media defend Democrats still by ignoring the discussion, and the Democrat voters are trying to shame people that are against teachers talking to kindergartners about sex. It's weird, I know. Just it's hard to shame those kinds of people. Michigan's Teacher of the Year may surprise some Southwest parents and will be exploring his TikTok today. Also, the CDC says that despite the rising COVID cases, there will be no mandates this year. I wonder why that is. Also, an election is taking place this November. Are you ready? I'm Anon Don, and this is the Holmes Politicast. There we go. Now you can hear me. Okay. So it was dark. I needed a new light. Or I needed more light, rather. And this is my new camera angle. Hello. Yeah, you don't care about that though. I don't like this camera angle. I'm gonna put it somewhere else, but that's a problem for a later show. Okay. So I made some pretty bold claims there that Republicans are not they're not surprised by. I think Republicans are now well versed in what's going on with Democrats in the classrooms because Republicans actually read Republican bills, and independents and the news media does not. So, interestingly enough, Julie Brixey is one of those Democrats that, while she has read the bill and does know what's in it, she just is not interested in talking about what is actually going on here with schools. So, obviously, if you've listened to the show, you know that the Florida bill that went through, the don't say gay bill, was actually had nothing to do with not saying the word gay. It had to do with parents being notified of their children's psychological standing at school, you might say. It had to do with parents knowing what their children were being led to believe, what they were being counseled for, and it forbid instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in K through 3 classrooms. So the Democrats, they just can't leave these poor kindergartners alone to learn their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. So Julie Brixey is one of those Democrats that she replied to me. She was very confused as to why I would defend Senator Tom Barrett Now, Senator Tom Barrett sent out this cute little thing. I mean, it's kind of cute, kind of not, because it's actually true. Like, I can't say that it's funny because it's really sad. So this is like a confirmation status for an appointment for, well, quote, your child. And the appointment type is for gender reassignment surgery. And the appointment date is tomorrow at 9 a.m. Now this is obviously it's trying to get people out to his rally, his event. I'm not sure what event it was because the media doesn't report that. They just report that he's being very mean and very very nasty. He's nasty Republicans. These bad people are making fun of dangerous transgender ideologies. Well, I don't know many parents that want their children going through a gender identity crisis, having gender dysphoria, right? Now, maybe I just need to know a lot more parents, but I know quite a few of them, quite a few people that are parents, and even the ones that say, maybe we should help the gender people, they don't want their child necessarily to have to go through that. And we've seen an explosion in the amount of children that are going through these kinds of things, these gender identity crises and problems with knowing who they are. And this explosion, this isn't something that is, it's not unknown why this is happening. Rachel, I think her name is Rachel Schreier, wrote a book about this very subject, and it's about how children are very susceptible to these ideologies. They're very susceptible to confusion because they're children. They don't know anything. Our job as adults is to teach them what is real, what is true, who they are in relationship to the world. That's our job as adults. And some teachers are taking advantage of that and pushing radical gender ideology onto these children, confusing them further. Right? The goal is to intentionally confuse the children. So Democrats, of course, they deny it. They're crying wolf. They're saying that we're really the bad guys for not wanting children to just learn. We're just trying to teach the kids, guys. Come on. Well, while you're just trying to teach the kids, we've got an explosion in children identifying as transgender, gay, all these things. And you may not see a problem with that, but it is a problem in our society. Now, another senator, Jeremy Moss, he comes on the scene and he makes a big speech in the Senate about why we should be talking to kindergartners through third graders about sexual orientation and gender identity. Let's watch.
This has been one of the most challenging weeks in the legislature for me, and I know for many of us. I was moved by the comments from the senator from the 2nd District about him sitting in his son's room the other night just to watch him sleep peacefully, knowing that he'll eventually have to draw from his own painful experiences with racism and bigotry to guide his children through another generation of racism and bigotry. And we were talking about this renewed national attack on LGBTQ youth and how it's now been in focus in this chamber, and the few resources I had as a young person to guide me through the coming out experience. I'm the only person here who has a coming out story. And it's been very difficult to witness my own colleagues here from the other side of the aisle, people I've served with for years, weaponize a young person's coming out experience in a fundraising email or a text message blast, or worse yet, doubling down to attempt to use the majority to set education policy that would prevent LGBTQ youth from living as their authentic selves, all in the name of parental rights.
Now, obviously, he's lying about what all these bills are doing. That's not what the bill is doing. The bill is saying that teachers are not allowed to teach other children transgender and homosexual ideology. Now, sexual orientation, I don't know how you people are missing it, but sexual orientation is by nature sexual. Yeah, sexual. It's sexual orientation, right? These are kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and third graders you're talking about. Now, there's an argument to be made about sex ed in high school, okay? The students are much more, well, I wouldn't say much more mature, but they're around that age that it's going to start coming up in their lives. They're going to need to know about it. Maybe if parents, if parents aren't wanting to have the talk, they'll send them to school, just send them to health class, and the teacher can tell them about, what's going to happen. I've been trained to talk to middle schoolers about, your voice is going to change as you go through puberty. I have to understand that and be able to work with that as children lose all range in their voice. I can kind of understand all that. Kindergartners and first graders, second graders and third graders. You're talking about 5 years old through 9, 10 years old. Being taught that boys can become girls and that some boys are born in the girl's body and some girls are born in a boy's body. And it's okay if you don't feel comfortable in yourself. You may be the other gender. This is confusing children. Telling them that men can get pregnant is confusing to children. Teaching them about who men are having sex with, who women are having sex with, which is sexual orientation, is confusing to children. Okay? It's not a mystery to people with that are thinking about it as to why these things have become much more prominent in our culture. It's just not. We know. It's because the teachers are teaching them all of this stuff. Let's continue with Mr. Moss and his
incredible
dictatorial
parents
tirade.
And grew up in a loving and supportive household. But even they didn't get to dictate the terms and conditions of how and when I discovered my sexual orientation. It's not a proactive conversation you get from your straight parents who don't have that experience. I wish my parents could have just sat down with me when I was younger and told me all that I needed to know about finding my path in life as a gay person. I know they too wish we could have navigated that early in our family.
He's basing his entire identity in his homosexuality. That's the problem. We have an identity crisis in our country. In Michigan. It's right there. Right there on the screen. You're hearing it. This guy identifies as who he has sex with. If we are a culture that identifies as only our sexual passions, then it makes sense for teachers to be talking to kindergartners, first graders, second graders, and third graders about who they're going to be having sex with when they grow up. Do you want your teachers having that discussion with your children? Kindergartners, first graders, second graders, third graders? Because that's where we're heading right now in our country. Now, we're already there with ninth graders. Ninth grade is just well, you know what? I'll just let the ninth grade teacher do the talking. So here we have Mr. Owen Bondano, ninth grade teacher over in Royal Oak. And of course he's, say gay, teacher, queer teacher, teacher Tik Tok. He's got all the things. So, let's let him, show us his classroom. Okay. And then we'll talk about it.
To the conservative news source that wrote an article about me that seemed really
that wasn't me, by the way.
Flags I have in my classroom. There's a couple of things you missed actually in here. The first thing you missed is all 13 principles of the Black Lives Matter movement hung up at the top of my wall here, because I want my students to know that that flag is not just a decoration, but that we actually live out these principles in our everyday life. You definitely missed my smaller posters, including this one about getting vaccinated, about voting, all these ones I have from Jay Salazar that are Black historical figures. Man, you missed a lot, including some of the memorabilia and awards I've won as Michigan Teacher of the Year. But, like, go off about my flags, I guess. To the
Okay.
news source.
So he's got the flags. You know, he is all in, this teacher. This classroom is a place where you will get leftist ideology, and he's made sure of that. The Black Lives Matter movement. We'll just start there because it's the epitome of our cultural confusion. The Black Lives Matter movement is, well, number one, I think he's a little off on his. I'm trying to look up the principles of the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not working right now. Cool. So blacklivesmatter.com is down. So, but he has them. He has them all up there on his classroom. One of them is mentioned something about disrupting the nuclear family, a common communist theme. So, with this teacher, your child, your 9th grade child, is going to get Black Lives Matter ideology. And he even tells us that they're what are they?
Article about me that seemed really focused on I have in my in here. The first thing you missed is all 13 principles of the Black Lives Matter movement hung up at the top of my.
So he calls them principles. Their principles are morals. They're guidelines for living. That's sounds kind of like a religion to me. It's certainly not math. It's certainly not scientific. It is about how black people are oppressed and degraded, and they are, hunted down in the streets by cops. And this entire movement has been started on lies, right? So we watch black men being assaulted by police officers. Assaulted, we say. And that's just they present this as if it's something that innocent black men are just being hunted down, as I mentioned before. But it's not. It never was. You go back to George Floyd, and you can look at his toxicology report. He is higher on fentanyl than a kite. This dude had enough fentanyl in him to kill a horse, right? He is obviously in a state of excited delirium. You can see him just crazy erratic for like 10 minutes before the cop even puts him on the ground. You can see him actually say he's having trouble breathing before the cop puts him on the ground, right? But we go back to this George Floyd and Derek Chauvin, and we say Derek Chauvin is a racist cop that is oppressing black men, and we have more of them in our society. Well, the premise is wrong that he's a racist cop that's just hunting down black men. And obviously the other conclusion is wrong, that these are just all over, that black men are just in danger of death every single day from a cop just from being black. No, that's obviously not true. But we have this teacher teaching kids that it is, right? And he's teacher of the year in Michigan. I think that was like 2021, so just last year.
Wall here, because
so,
I want my students to know that flag is not just a decoration, but that we actually live out these principles in our everyday life.
We actually live out these principles. We live them out day by day. We live this religion. All right.
Smaller posters, including this one about getting vaccinated.
Let's see. There's a Ruth Bader Ginsburg poster. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Ruth Bader Ginsburg as so this is a common. You see Christ in with this halo around his head in many Catholic depictions of Christ. Now, I don't believe in depicting Christ because you can't depict him. You have no idea what he looked like. And I'm not sure that that doesn't fall under the Second Commandment. But this Ruth Bader Ginsburg poster is obviously, quite obviously, very religious. He is very in love with a Supreme Court justice. Now, it's not just because she's a Supreme Court justice, and it's not just because of her ideology. It's because of her power to force down the ideology on others. The same thing is true for the Get Vaccinated poster. It's not about just getting the vaccine. It's about listening to the health department who can force down their ideology onto you, right? What is Get Vaccinated? It was portrayed as something that protected other people, but it doesn't. We all know it doesn't protect other people. Everybody on this Grand Valley campus knows that it does not protect other people. When you get vaccinated, it protects you. And it kind of gives the lie that now all the people that have been pushing get vaccinated, all the way up to the vice president herself, have gotten coronavirus. None of them are immune. It's not protecting anyone. The vaccine efficacy rate has been plummeting since the thing came out. I mean, it just keeps on getting lower and lower every time we hear another report. So, again, it's a religion that this guy is pushing on the 9th grade students.
Posters, including this one about getting vaccinated, about voting, all these ones I have from Jim.
Again, about voting, we've got to just get out there and vote. I highly doubt he advocates that his students read bills. I'm sure he didn't read the Florida bill. Otherwise, he would know that it doesn't have "Don't Say Gay" in there, right? So if he's just pushing voting based on what a candidate says or based on what their ideology is, this isn't a person that we should be putting in a classroom in front of children. This isn't a person that should be advocating for voting at all. I wonder what his actual subject matter is, because all I see so far is leftist religion. So maybe he's a leftist religion teacher. I don't know.
Salazar that are black historical figures.
All the black historical figures. And then there's the game. Oh, 2022. It was this year. How do you get
memorabilia and awards?
How do you get Teacher of the Year for this year? The year's not even over. It's true though. I looked up you can look up the articles. It's all over the place. Owen Bondano, Teacher of the Year, 2020. So before 2020 is even over, the Teacher of the Year has been selected, and I wonder why this one was. We can look into why, who picks the Teacher of the Year after probably, next week I'll see if I remember to who the teacher or who picks the Teacher of the Year. This guy has all the videos. I mean, you can go through and you can check out hundreds of other videos from Owen Bondano and what your children are being subjected to. And you think, you may think, oh, I'm in Southwest Michigan. This is never going to pertain to me. Well, maybe. And maybe also we need to, get our politicians on this stuff. So I had to take a screenshot because these people are blocking me left and right, which I don't care about. I'm not worried about leftists blocking me. But this was interesting. As I'm responding to Jeremy Moss, this person, absolutely horrifying, says that I sure think about sex and kids a lot. Feels like I'm projecting something. As I'm talking about children being left alone in the classroom, you think I'm projecting something onto Democrats. As I'm asking Democrats to stop doing what they're doing, cease and desist, I'm goodness. The Democrat voters have really gone down in terms of their intelligence, and I think that's been facilitated by media companies that won't do much to tell them the truth. They give him a lot of emotion. They give him Senator Jeremy Moss up there crying because he didn't have support, and that's why they are emotional beings. They can only think with their emotions. So if you are mad about something, or if you're disagreeing with something, even I'm not out there being like rah, 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 Democrats are just destroying the country and I wish they'd go away. I'm not necessarily doing that. I'm pointing out that their ideologies are dangerous, that we should leave kids alone, and that we should just teach them basic skills for life rather than confusing them with gender ideology. And yet the general Democrat voter will look at that and say, oh, you must be a hater. You must be a hateful person. Hate will not win. Hashtag hate won't win. So, that's kind of where we're at, unfortunately. So, interesting news. There has been a rise in COVID cases. Can you believe that? Almost like it's a seasonal thing. Now, I don't know why the cases are rising again. I thought we stopped testing it, but we tell you the truth. oh, M Live, you're cute. Okay, so they say, despite the rising COVID cases, hospitalizations, CDC says Michiganders still good to go, mask free. Wonder why that is. Let's go through this article a little bit. 6 counties in northwest Michigan and Oakland County were upgraded this week from low to medium community levels of COVID-19. Oh, goodness. I've got gas right now. As cases and hospitalizations are rising across the state, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And we all trust them with our very lives. Along with Oakland, the second most populous county in the state, Manistee, Benzie, Leelanau, Antrim, Kalkaska, and Grand Traverse counties are now yellow. The CDC reported Thursday night. I guess I had the wrong inflection. The CDC reported Thursday night. In these areas, the CDC suggests those at high risk for severe illness talk to their healthcare providers about the necessity of masking and other precautions. Weird. They suggested talking to their healthcare providers? Why just those at high risk? Doesn't the mask protect other people? I thought it was for protecting grandma. Huh. Interesting. Oh, Presque Isle, Alpena, Alcona, and Montmorency in the northeastern Lower Peninsula remain yellow. I don't even know what those counties are. I haven't heard a single one of those counties. I have heard this one. So does Washtenaw County, which is the most per capita new cases in 7 days, ending Wednesday, April 27th. So, it's looking like, oh, look at that. There we are. So everything's green up here, green up here, green up here. I don't really care what, where is green and where isn't. It doesn't matter to me. But, oh, weird. So I think that gay teacher was from Oakland. I think. I'm pretty sure. Huh, weird. He better do some more indoctrinating them kids. His cases are going up. He hasn't done his job. Interesting. So, with the coronavirus cases rising, you would think that the CDC would come back in and take over and quash those cases back down to where they were. Well, no dice. I wonder why that is. It almost seems as though they're not following the science. They might be following politics. Oh my goodness. You know what? Bye, YouTube. I guess I'm getting kicked off for denying science now. Yeah, you know what? I don't think I need to expound on this really. Numbers are going up and the CDC won't do anything. It's an election year. I think we can all put 2 and 2 together and get 5. It's not that hard. It's not rocket science. We're looking at it. We've been looking at it for the last 2 years. So I think we're just going to go on to the election. So I have a little article up that I worked on for a long time. Way too long for it to be a 4-minute read. That's ridiculous. So let's see if I can make this bigger. I can. Yeah. Okay. So I've got all of these districts. The people running in them. These are all in Southwest Michigan. So if you look here on the map, they're all, right in this kind of general area. I think I went up and around here and kind of snuck into Eastern Michigan. Went across the state line a little bit. Or not the state line, the dividing line a little bit. I'm a little bit of a rebel, so I've taken care of all these. There are some that don't have people declared for them yet. There are some where there is nobody running opposed, or there's somebody running unopposed. I've got a kind of a rundown of what the voting tendencies are, and I also put in a link to Ballotpedia. So this is something that you want to do if you're an informed voter. Something that Mr. Bondano won't tell you to do. So, hello. Something that Mr. Bondano won't tell his students to do. So I'm just going to type in, let's see here. One Campus Drive, Allendale, Michigan. So what you want to do is you want to go to this place. You want to put in your address and you want to see your sample ballot. Okay. So I'm just going to look at Grand Valley's sample ballot. So they have a general or a preliminary. What do they call those? Primary. They have the primary. So we're looking at, oh my goodness, there's somebody running against Gretchen Whitmer in the Democrat Party. So this is what the ballot looks like. They've got Congress. They've got, so I'm in District 30. So we've got the Senate District 30. You got Michigan House of Reps District 89. So yeah, that's how you can go. You can look at, what your options are for voting. They have biographies. Some of them have answered questions. Like, actually, I don't think Peter Meyer has. So, let's go. I think John Gibbs has answered questions. Maybe not. Yes, he has. Okay, so see, they've got a candidate connection spot here where the candidates tell you about themselves. They talk about their things that voters should take away from their candidacy, things that they want voters to know about. Sometimes they're a lot more in depth. So John Gibbs is for medical freedom, election integrity, immigration and border security, education and regulatory reform. So he's got a bio here. And actually John Gibbs looks like a pretty good candidate to take over for Peter Meyer. So yeah, there it is. Ballotpedia is a great resource. Go to them. Find your candidates. Look at what they have to say. Yeah, do not be an uninformed voter. Mr. Bondano, if you happen to see this, you can direct your students to this area, and they can maybe learn a little bit about someone before voting for them. A little bit more than just what party they're in. All right. And with that, that is really all I've got for you this week. It has been one heck of a week. So I will see you next week. Remember, get out there, look at your candidates, know a person before you vote for them, and you all have a great week. I'll see you next week. I am done with school for, well, I'll be back in the fall, but for this summer. So we're going to have a much more consistent shows. I will much more consistently be giving you the conservative opinion. I'm Anon Don, and this is the Holmes Politicast.